there is some massive news that the UFC's released. Thank the Lord, considering boxing was whipping us. The UFC, MMA, boxing in big 2025 was whooping us. The UFC fan base, the UFC advertisement, the UFC fans, I've already said that. The UFC fights, there we go. And let me get on to the third F word. It's a fish. All right? But Dana, you are making me angry. I cannot remember the last time Dana White has smiled like that. Unless it was talking about pay-per-views. But when it comes to fighters, it's either John Jones or Conor McGregor. And this has been a long time, especially John Jones, a long time since he defended that belt. But he's got news for that too. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the major fight announcements. He has said that John Jones, Tom Aspinall has been booked and he's going to release the information soon, but that is not confirmed fully. Because John Jones, if for some reason, is doing tough with a Russian company with Nate Diaz. I didn't have that on my bloody bingo list for 2025, but there we go. So I'm going to go through the fights that have been announced, but I'm going to talk about that fool of a thing. This man here that I would class as essentially Mr. UFC. It would be weird without him, but I think it's getting to the time where we need to start going, Dana, let's go to boxing then. If you really want boxing so much, go to boxing and let someone else run the UFC now. Because it's impacting us as a fan base and as a sport, because we're not doing enough when it comes to actually advertising the UFC and putting on great fight cards again. We've been umming and ahhing about the fight cards and going, really, you made that? But he has nailed it this time, Mr. Dana White. So let's go through them. 317 in Las Vegas, June 28th. Oliveira versus Topuria. We knew from the press conference, and they could have advertised this, Islam Makhachev was either going to fight Topuria at 155 or relinquish his belt and go to 170 to face JDM. And obviously, JDM gave a whooping to Belal Muhammad. But why was this not advertised as like a big thing, a crossroads for Islam Makhachev? You're putting him at pound for pound number one. This is it. Islam Makhachev was in the shadows of Habib, his longtime friend, and had a lot of weight on his shoulders. For father's memory, the crossroads, this weekend, deciding, will Islam Makhachev go up to 170 to claim dual weight status of a champion? Or will he defend against a rising star in Ilia Topuria? And you could have had I'm getting so angry. You could have had that. I'm getting angry at Dana White here, not anyone else. You could have had that as advertisement for Ilia Makhachev. For Islam Makhachev, where it decides his fate, and it's this big advertisement, this big push, where a lot of people would watch Belal Muhammad versus JDM, whereas a lot of people wouldn't because they don't like Belal Muhammad. You know, more people are going to watch JDM over Belal Muhammad defend his title, regardless of Islam Makhachev or Belal Muhammad facing someone else. This needed to be advertised, and this is what the problem is with the UFC. They are so bad at advertisements. And we'll go through some things here after I get through this card. We got a really good co-main event against Pantoja's defending his title against Cara France. And then we got Darush versus Moncano, which would also be a very good fight. And Moncano's coming off a loss from Islam Makhachev, stepping in a short notice from Arman. And then Darush, I think he lost his last fight. Or he was injured. I'm pretty sure he was injured. Or the other, but was there a mix-up? Didn't Darush just get literally pulled off the card? I think they were meant to fight before. And Moncano went to fight Islam Makhachev because Armin pulled out and then Darush just didn't fight. So I think that's I don't know why that has HOF, Hall of Fame. Oh, Homer Fights. I'm on that website. I was like, why is that a Hall of Fame fight? Other fights that have been announced. The Redler versus Whittaker. Really good fight to make there. Paulo Costa also has another fight, if we can see here. Very good fight. And then you got Magomedov here, coming off a loss against MVP. Once again, very good fights to announce. Derilla is looking to turn around pretty quickly for a fighter, considering Bo Nickel gave him 0 challenge whatsoever. Womp womp. And that is in Abu Dhabi. I pronounced that so wrong. Abu Dhabi, UAE. Hopefully an early fight card for the UK fans. Please, for the love of God. Also, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, the plot armor of DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev, August 16th. Maran. That, apart from Topuria, okay, I was going to call him Islam Topuria then. Topuria and Charles Oliveira, this is in the top 3 cards. This is in the top 3 fights of this year. It's going to be DDP versus Chimaev, Ilia Topuria versus Oliveira, and then JDM versus Islam Makhachev to see how Islam Makhachev deals with the 170 people. Because he's strong at 155, but he's not cutting as much weight as someone like JDM. Maybe he is. Who knows? That's in Chicago. Interesting because there was kind of a mist around Chimaev not fighting the USA because of his ties to Chechnya. So they've kind of just gone, Trump's in power, get him in. So that's going to be a really good fight. I don't know why he's not in South Africa. Why is he not in South Africa? DDP fights. He's born in South Africa. He fights out South Africa. You make it in South Africa. He's already defended his title. He's done his bit. Why is it the fact that this is the toughest competition he's most probably going to have with his plot armor fighting ability that you don't put it in South Africa? Let's say he beats Chimaev. Are we going to have a South African card? Because you could have Usman. You could have Israel Adesanya. Regardless of that beef, you could have those fighters in there. There are fighters from South Africa. You should have kept hold of Ngannou to have the fight in the continent of Africa. It would have sold. Maybe re-sign Ngannou. Maybe resign Ngannou when Tom Aspinall beats John Jones. Then you got Tom Aspinall versus Ngannou in here, and you can have DDP be the co-main event. But no, Dana White doesn't want to do this. So once again, Chicago. I don't know what is the appeal of DDP versus Chimaev in Chicago. It's a massive middleweight fight. It's the biggest middleweight fight probably since. Well, I don't know. It's the biggest for a very long time. And they're doing it in Chicago, which is very annoying. My problem. Let me sit up because this. I need to move myself across the screen too. Not you. You can stay there. It's not all about you, Chimaev. Right. This is my problem with Dana White. It's been mentioned. I'm going to echo what MMA Guru was talking about, but I was thinking about it for quite some time now since that video was released. We do not get advertisement from boxing. Boxing fans were actually doing an L dance to us. I'm 28 years old making that reference. It's diabolical here. This is what this man has made me do. Make a Fortnite bloody reference at the age of 28. But they were like Chris Eubank Jr. versus something Ben. I've completely forgotten his name. I know their dads have fought before. I'm not a big boxing head, but they were putting on fights after fights after fights. Fury Usyk, Daniel Dubois versus Usyk. Not really the greatest fight in the world, to be honest with you. Daniel Dubois actually won the first fight, but there we go. Look, AJ Fury now is a bit too old. It would be an amazing fight still, but it's a bit too old for that. Crawford versus Canelo, of course, like they're the pound for pound best, but once again, it's Crawford's going up to fight Canelo. I say that, but Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria would be absolutely amazing. But it's still, we can defeat this. As a UFC entity, Dana White, we can defeat this. But that means you need to put full focus on the UFC or get out. Get out. I know there's loads of moving objects in the UFC, but it does not look good that when our announcement versus boxing is this thing. That is how we got announced. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira and DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev. What? What, Dana White? Why is it your big pink face and my big pink face here are battling each other to make a promo? Why? Look, this is amazing to do, right? I do like the fact. Where's his little whiteboard? Does he have it? Look at him. He's not even smiling. Where is a point where he's smiling here? He's in a hotel room somewhere. Oh. How do I save money here and not spend anything at all, but make really big fight announcements? What? You want me to spend £50 on Fiverr? What? Oh, there's he smiling because it's right at the end of the bloody video. So he's like, oh, God, I can get back to boxing. But this is a problem. This is how it was announced. Why wasn't it a big advertisement at the end of the UFC event we just had? You could have done what I said at the beginning with Ilia Topuria with the Crossroads, and at the end you could have done this big advertisement. Oh, what was it like? Everyone remember this? Can you just remember Elevator Aldo McGregor? I've been a fan for UFC for over 13 years. This is the only time that we've seen this stuff. Massive fight. Am I going to get absolute copyright strike because I'm pretty much playing the whole thing? There was a... Oh. See? They can do it. Fuck off. Stop playing the goddamn blood clot video. I feel sorry for the people who missed the build-up to these. Unmatched hype. I can only imagine those times were magic. 9 years ago. 2015. 9 years ago. 2015. Zuffa own the UFC. Who own WWE. How can they not promote fights like this? Why is it the fact that the fights that we have is this? Okay. Oh, yeah, I take it back. I take it back. That. What? I've got to talk about the UFC? He's malfunctioning. Dana White is literally melting away talking about the UFC. Why is it the fact that that's the announcement? Not this. And the fact is when he's talking to a reporter about it, look. He's literally about to spit venom at this guy's eyes. I don't know what they're saying. Me encanta SYC? Me encanta SYC? What does that mean? Is he asking him, could you spend a little bit more time and money working within the UFC and advertising the UFC fights properly instead of some fat bloke from England giving great advice? And he's spat venom into this guy's eyes and he can no longer see now because he asked a question. He dared challenge the bold head of Dana White. 80k views in 4 days. It's pretty good. 53k views in 2 hours. It's all right. But when we go into advertisement, boxing always has face-offs. Why is it the fact they did this as a trial run for Darren Till and Jorge Masvidal? A 24-minute face-off. Why is Vinny Jr. looking at a Pizza Hut app? He spat that out. Look. Hold up. If you go back in that video, it's not there anymore. He actually didn't even take a bite out of it. Why is he advertising that? Why would he support, like, unhealthy eating as an athlete? I don't know. I blame celebrities for me being fat. But we have this. Can you imagine Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett, Michael Chandler, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, DDP, Chimaev, Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, JDM, Islam Makhachev. Even Manny Moicano versus Darush. Monaco's funny. He has his own podcast. Go check it out. It's a pretty funny podcast with him and Gilbert Burns, and I don't know if there's another fighter on it. But that could make stars. Them being funny in a one-to-one situation where they don't have to impress the crowd. There's something echoed by MMA Guru. It's literally them and I've forgotten his name. Used to be a fighter for the UFC. Didn't he get fired from the UFC for shouting at Herb Dean? Dan Hardy. That's it, Dan Hardy. There. You know, we have the side here. Jorge Masvidal doing a 3-piece and a soda to Leon Edwards. That made him a star. The knockout with Darren Till made him a star. The knockout on Ben Askren made him a star. These small things here, this can build credibility for fighters. You're looking for fighters to build up from nowhere. Yes, but hey, put them on an Apex card. Put beginning fighters in an Apex card, but get them doing this. This does not cost a lot of money. It does not cost a lot of time. Hey, look, we got media obligations, yeah? 3 weeks from the fight, we need you to be here. Or 2 weeks from the fight, when it's not seriously cutting. We can have you here fully replenished. You're not seriously cutting. You're really motivated for the fight. One-on-one with a cameraman, and then someone in the middle being a mediator for it. Wouldn't that be a good thing for fight nights? You have the main event, and then you have a co-main event being another one, and then you just pick one fight that you think, that guy's got something. Let's try and push him in here. Just a random, like, it doesn't matter even if it gets 10k views. What does that cost the UFC? It costs them nothing. It's part, they're not paying the fighter. It's part of their media obligations. They're already paid. All you're paying is cameramen and then maybe the middle person. And if it's John Anik, he's most probably part of his contract to do media obligations to add it in there. And even if it costs them 20 grand for a whole day to do this, what is £20,000 to a multi-billion pound company? What's £20,000 when someone says something? Let's say it was Bo Nickel versus Riddler. Riddler. Okay? And Bo Nickel sat there one-on-one saying how his wrestling is going to be absolutely amazing. And then some random kid on TikTok clips that and it shows Riddler absolutely dominating him. Or it's the other way around. Bo Nickel dominated him and they're using a clip from that. I don't understand why it's going to cost them a lot of money to do this. To have advertisements like Islam Makhachev at the beginning saying the crossroads, and then afterwards you've got an advertisement of Islam Makhachev versus JDM already filmed, done, put out. You don't have to even have, not you, you don't even have to have this announced yet. That can be later on. That can be when it was announced now. And so could the rest of the card. And, you know, and so can this. This can be announced later on. But the big fight you could have done is had that big promo. More people would have watched the recent UFC Bilal Muhammad versus JDM. And if you haven't watched it, watch the highlights. BT Sports uploaded it for the people wondering on YouTube. It was a bloody good fight, and it showed JDM really neutralizing Bilal Muhammad's wrestling and just getting back up and piecing him up. It was a nasty injury to Bilal Muhammad with his lip. I do have more respect for Bilal Muhammad because he didn't quit. I would have quit after the first punch, I'm not going to lie. But this is setting up a mega fight. We're not talking little fancy-wancy fights. This is a mega fight. This is a mega fight. This is a mega fight. This is a bloody mega fight. What is there that we're not understanding? Once again, this is the interview from here. And he's asked him one question about the UFC. But he's once again talking about boxing. See, the Americans' first show will come on September 12th as he is the chief promoter of the huge showdown between Alvarez and Crawford. So September 12th we're at the 14th at the moment. So that's what? June, July, August, September. 4 months away. What have we got in those 4 months? So Dana White's going to spend a lot of time promoting his own boxing promotion to promote this. I wonder what they're going to do for advertisement for Crawford versus Canelo. Do you think it's going to be... Do you think it's going to be this? Do you truly think it's going to be this, that he's going to announce it? Do you think it's going to be that that he's just going to be, these fight pages are announcing it, that this is the build-up? There's no advertising before. It's some terrible press conference that are like 20 minutes shorter now. Or do you think it's going to be something like a Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor? Do you think it's going to be some form of face-off like this? You know, September 12th, what fights have we got in between? We got Oliveira versus Topuria, 317. We've got Whittaker versus Derrida. That is also in 317. That isn't on the code. Meccano versus Darush is not. Meccano versus Darush. Surely Whittaker versus Derrida has to be higher than that. Than Meccano. Oh, it's a fight night. Oh, okay, that's a fight. That makes sense. Oh, yeah, obviously, July 26th. So we have the fight night. It's a good fight night. It's a really good fight night, actually. Really good. Then you got this fight in August. So there's a massive fights in between then, right? And we're talking June, we're talking July, and we're talking August. Okay? So on paper, Dana White has to be spending all his time promoting this, pushing this out. But of course, he has this fight September 12th, the month after DDP versus Chimavez. Backed by the Saudis. What is he going to pick? The Saudi money or USA money with the UFC? It begins with a targeted 12 card a year promotion with Dana White leading the fights. So he's also going to have to deal with this. So he's going to spend less time in the UFC. Look, I don't understand it. Make advertisements. Spend money on advertisements. Stop putting up, oh, this person won this fight. Let's ask this silly question. Let's get Nina Drama to do this. Let's do that. Let's do, you know, it seems like you have independent MMA creators. Someone like MMA Guru, who's the number one. Errol Hawani, I would say, is independent because he's not connected to the UFC, but probably has, I think he owns his show and whatnot. But you have these independent media outsourcers that are advertising more than UFC. You should be ashamed that's the case. And it's not like MMA Guru is putting on an amazing edit. He's voicing his opinion and putting humor into it. That's how he's selling it, and he's doing more than you. Errol Hawani, even though he doesn't bring as many views as MMA Guru, is still doing more than UFC with actually interviewing fighters and get them into the studio to have that one-on-one conversation. At least there's that humanized element with Errol Hawani when it comes to interviewing these fighters on a one-on-one basis. We need to do more. Dana White needs to do more. Look, off the top of my dome, I gave you something that you could have done that could have promoted Bilal Muhammad versus JDM even more. And then you could have done it afterwards. The fight promotion for that. You don't have to set a date and time. It can just be 2025 and that's done. But instead we get this. Stop smiling. Stop. There we go. Instead we get this as an announcement as to the big, massive events that we are countering boxing with. And it seems like World of Warcraft's ready to play. I don't even play WoW anymore. I should really uninstall that. I haven't played it in years. It seems like Dana White wants the best of the both worlds for boxing and UFC, which is brilliant. But go to boxing, Dana White, if it's the case. If you can't even put on a poxy bloody advertisement for it, if you can't just hire a TikTok editor to put some 60-second clip together, which they can do, and they do it a lot better, if you can't do this anymore, there's no global fight press conferences. Why do we not have a global fight press conference for Oliveira versus Topuria? They could go to Brazil. They could go to Spain. They could go and do it in America too. There's 3 places they could go, right? You've also got another Brazilian there with Moncano and Pantoja. With this fight, why not do it in South Africa? Why not go to Chechnya? I'm kidding. Don't go to Chechnya. But why not do it in South Africa? The fight in itself. But why not do a press conference in South Africa with Chimaev? Why not go to England? Chimaev's liked in England. DDP's liked in England. And then you can finish it off in America. Yes, it costs a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the reason why UFC will start to fall off is, well, there's quite a few reasons. Is one, the fights, but also the advertisements. There's still a lot of fans that watch boxing that don't pay any attention to UFC because it's not advertised as well as boxing. There's WWE fans that will watch WWE and boxing, or just WWE own, that won't watch UFC unless it's a massive fight. They most probably won't even watch this. They will watch John Jones and Conor McGregor and stuff like that. But with the right advertisement, the right selling of it, the right face-to-face, one-on-one promotion, the right promos that you do beforehand, instead of the lackluster promos that you do, the slapdash and lax attitude promotions you do, is redonkulous, and it needs to be sorted out. I'm getting so sick and tired of this is how we get it announced. I'm recycling this because it's tiring. Just put some time and effort into the advertisement. Put some time and effort into where you're putting these events. Chicago makes no sense for two of these fighters. What have they got in Chicago? I'm sure there's another fighter that could headline Chicago, but why? Yeah, maybe the contracts say you need to be in America X, Y, and Z, but you need to be thinking DDP's been champion for a little bit now, and a South African card should have been put on the table after he defended his bloody belt. This would have sold more in South Africa than Chicago. I don't think people in Chicago would be as... People in South Africa would be way more appreciative than people in Chicago to watch this fight. It's crazy. But yeah, that's it. Like, let me know down below what you think. Are you tired of Dana White kind of playing both sides with boxing, UFC? It should really be the fact that Dana White wants to put final nails in the coffin of UFC. I think back to the Joe Rogan interview back like 15 years ago when he was on a talk show and he was going mental at the guy, saying, you know, the guy couldn't believe that MMA or UFC would even overtake boxing, and it has, and it still has. But you know, this is why are we relying on Conor McGregor to do this and global promotions? You should be putting time and effort into DDP, into Chimavez, into Ilia Topuria, into Islam Makhachev, into Oliveira, into Robert Whittaker versus Ritter. This is a really good fight night too. Into the even Pantoja. Pantoja's getting disrespected left, right, front, and center. Like, he's a good champion. He's a really good champion, but it's just, we'll just add him on the co-main and that will sell. Like, they're not thinking about that. You know, you just... What is it with UFC fighters having tattoos on their chest like here? Oh, I've got a tattoo there. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm done. It's 2 a.m. Wise up, UFC. Arrgh. Wise up, UFC. Dana White, sort yourself out. I'll leave it on that image there. Have fun, Dana White. There's me going. Enjoy that image in a full. Here I am back. Bye-bye.